Ron Rangel, and we can start the recording. Okay. Right.
All right, I see that we're recording. Good morning, my name is Ron Rangel. I'm the judge of the 379th District Court. I'm also fortunate to run what we refer to as the mental health court for felony cases on the district court side. Now, I got to be straight. None of this would have taken place without the leadership and forethought of Judge Yolanda Huff, who heads the misdemeanor mental health court and who I went to law school with and who I've seen grow up in a sense, but not grow old. So that's pretty significant. So just a couple of words from me and then we'll get started. I did spend some time sort of analyzing what has happened in the mental health court that I've been involved with. And one of the things that I've learned, and I guess we always kind of knew this, but we didn't recognize the significance of it. The folks that are involved in these types of specialty courts, and I'm talking about the staff, the people that are involved in the staffings, that work every day with these individuals, that get to know who they are, that get to understand their heart, that then come in and put their life into it. You know, the pay is not the greatest, but they still do it because they love the job that they do. And they make such a difference in folks' lives. And really, I don't think we give those individuals a credit for the involvement that they have in changing these folks' lives. So I would love to at least give them a virtual round of applause and a big thank you for the work that they do. Well, thank y'all. And a lot of y'all are on the screen now. So without any kind of time wasting, I know that we have Judge Ernie Glenn, who is present, who has been really, I think, the longest serving specialty court judge that we have in Bexar County. And so, Ernie, I'm going to let you take it away, sort of explain what you do and everything else that you have to talk about.
Well, first, we're going to give the elected officials a few moments. Judge Ron Rangel, see the agenda. Introduction of elected office officials, Commissioner Justin Rodriguez and Jada Sullivan. And then we're going to greetings for Matt Lazito. I think that shouldn't take more than 10 minutes, and then we'll let Ernie go.
Thank you, Judge. I guess this is Commissioner Rodriguez. I'll go ahead and kick it off. And out of respect for Judge Glenn, I will be very, very brief.
Thank you.
And the rest of you, I know we all have busy Saturdays, but listen, I just wanted to participate here and give a brief welcome to those on the Zoom who are watching or listening in, those that are participants, certainly partners, I should say, from the district and the misdemeanor courts to the county and city staff, and all those support services that help make this coalition successful. I should say that, you know, Judge Huff has been, since I've been on Commissioner's Court, which is only about 3 years, has been a great partner who spearheaded this coalition, the Specialty Court Coalition. And while that coalition is relatively new, as was mentioned, the specialty courts have been around for now over 20 years. And I know Judge Glenn is a part of that. And Judge Wolf was a part of that. A lot of folks who've pushed the specialty court concept over the years and really made it a model, not just here in Texas, but all over the country with respect to how we address issues related to what we like to call therapeutic justice here in Bexar County. So we know that we've got our regular courts. For those that are unfamiliar with specialty courts, they run a little bit differently. We like to focus on, and we know from data that a lot of times people end up in the criminal justice system because of underlying issues. Maybe they're mental health issues, maybe they're substance abuse issues. And so we've got felony drug courts, we've got DWI courts, the Esperanza Court, all of whom have their respective processes and graduations at the end, which are really, I've had an opportunity to attend several of those. They're really heartwarming to see where people started as they go through these programs and then where they end up. And the idea is, the concept is reuniting and reengaging mothers, fathers, families, grandparents, and making sure they're involved in putting back the pieces, helping people put back the pieces so that they don't end up back in our criminal justice system. We reduce recidivism rates, we address those underlying issues. And so many folks have been a successful part of that. And I'm just honored to support you. It's a collaboration between the Commissioner's Court and our judges and the rest of our behavioral health departments like Mike Lazito and others at the county. So I just simply wanted to say thank you for participating today. You're going to hear a lot of good information about our specialty courts and the work that often, very frankly, goes unnoticed, at least largely by our society. But we know the work that's being done day in and day out is making a huge difference here in Bexar County. So, Judge, thank you for giving me just a few minutes to say welcome. Please stay engaged in these programs. We're very, very thankful for your work, and we look forward to the rest of the program. So thank you. And I think I'm going to pass it over to my counterpart over at the city, and that's Councilwoman Jada Andrews Sullivan.
Well, thank you so much, Commissioner Rodriguez. I look forward to seeing you face to face one day soon here. To Judge Huff, thank you so much for having me here this morning. And as you said, Commissioner Rodriguez, Saturday and especially today is a very busy time right here in the city of San Antonio for our city elections. And I'm so happy to have this moment to speak to all of you. We know that specialty courts truly do make the difference in our lives. When I was able to sit down with Judge Rosie Gonzalez Fiedling, some of the things that we talked about were domestic violence and how it affects the lives of not only the victims, but the perpetrators. And to know that we are truly stepping up to truly make a difference with unifying and uniting families is what we're here to do. And so I'm so honored to see each and every last one of you. I know that the specialty courts truly do make a difference, even for us as veterans, knowing that we have a place to where we can speak about our differences, speak about our experiences, but truly get down to the root of the problem. We know that there's always a source when you talk about the things that people are standing in front of you as judges. There is a reason why they're there. This is a symptom of some of the things that have been continuously going on for generations that have not been addressed. And you truly do make the difference in changing the trajectory of that generation from one to the next, because you are giving them an opportunity to take back their lives, to take back their work, to take back their dignity, to take back their pride within themselves and within their families. I thank you so much for the work that you continue to do. Thank you so much for the lives that you continue to change. Thank you so much for being a voice for those that don't even understand what their voice should be. We look forward to making sure that many more families have this uplifting, have this educational aspect, and really do speak to changing the generational strongholds and breaking those cycles as they go forward. Thank you again for having me. May you guys continue to be blessed, and may you continue to be a blessing to all the families that you continue to work for. Thank you so much.
Well, that was inspiring, and thank you both so much. And I can see the agenda now. And Commissioner Justin Rodriguez, you have been a real partner on the Commissioner's Court with the judiciary and everything that we're doing. We really appreciate you being here with us today, and we appreciate all the work that you've done to really help improve our justice system. And for the Councilwoman, I know you have an election today, and you still took time out of your busy day to be here with us, spend your time with us, and offer those encouraging words. So we really appreciate you as well. Thank you both so much for being here, and all of us know that these courts could not be successful without your assistance and the leadership that you provide. So thank you. At this time now, we'll give Mike Lazito, who's the Office of the Criminal Justice. He is the director. We'll give him an opportunity to address us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. I appreciate the opportunity. And I also echo what Judge Ronhell is stating on there as far as our elected leadership. You know, without that kind of buy-in, we wouldn't be able to have the number of specialty courts that we have here in Bexar County, because it's all about resources to get the job done. And in my roles as Director of Office of Criminal Justice, I oversee the medical examiner's office, the crime lab, pretrial services, behavioral health department, number of programs that that help individuals out in the pretrial part of justice. And I know we've worked very hard on pretrial justice reforms. Judge Runhill, you've been an integral part of that for Bexar County to try and make sure that we're getting services to individuals, whether they have money or they don't, in the system. And I think it's really important that we provide resources for everybody so they can be successful, right? And I think that's really what it's all about. And I want to thank our judges on there. Judge Ernie Glenn's going to speak on there, but he's the only appointed judge that full-time addresses working with specialty courts. But the other judges in there, this is something that you've elected to take on as a task to besides your regular docket. And the criminal justice system is always moving. There's a lot of moving parts in there, and you have been incredible in making sure that you take the time to work with these courts. And you'll hear about what the role is of the judges in this process, because all the best practices say it's judge involvement, right? That makes the difference with these individuals. And we try to hold the best practices. My department, it's Office of Criminal Justice Planning, Policy, and Programs. And that's what we look at. What's the best return for those dollars that are being spent. And we have to work tirelessly at trying to find grants for programs. But you know what? We've been able to keep these programs going because our elected leadership wants to see these programs be successful. And I think the key thing about specialty court programs, it's about the long haul, right? The long term of it. There can be quick fixes, but they don't last forever. And our system shows on recidivism. Bexar County, we're fortunate. We have one of the lower recidivism rates in the United States. Our first year recidivism rate, I think, is around 17%. Second year is around 24%, and then 33% for 3 years. And you look at some of the national data, 3-year outcomes are, and Judge Glenn will probably talk about this, are around 60%. And so it does show that the things that are happening here in Bexar County are making a difference, but we want to do better. And that's why these judges have elected to have these forums to discuss it, to have public involvement. So what's going on out there and how can we make the system better? Because it takes not only those resources that money, treatment can do, but it's about, helping for jobs, because if you don't have meaningful employment, it's not going to make a difference, and so as individuals speak, when they graduate, they get from there, but what happens after that? That's the main thing. It's like, how does it carry on? And Judge Glenn has put together a pretty good program as far as making sure that person is getting the touch points for their success, and at any time that they there's no wrong door, that they can get help through that process. So it's a long term that makes that difference, and that they're better off, and their families are better off, and their bosses are better off, and everybody. You think about it in how does this impact an individual? Well, if something happens negative, they go to jail or they go to prison, it impacts 10 people in a negative way. But you think about it in a positive way, if somebody succeeds, how that makes a difference all the way around for their children, for their parents, for neighbors, for everybody in the system. So I think it's very important that we continue these programs and that we make sure they have the resources to succeed, to get the job done. So thank you so much for inviting me to speak. But Judge Glenn, we look forward to hearing you and the other judges too. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you, Mike Lazito, for all the work that you do. We know that you've been a leader with this, and you've really taken Bexar County in a very positive direction as it relates to these specialty courts and really everything within the criminal justice system. You've been great to talk to on all the issues that we deal with, and you're very attentive to the needs of the court. So thank you for everything as well. All right, at this time, it's 9:15. We're right on schedule. Can't get improving that. So Judge Glenn, I'll let you take that away.
Thank you, Judge Rangel. I really appreciate being here this morning because this is an esteemed group of judges, case managers, probation officers, treatment professionals, people who are involved in trying to change lives, to really make a difference. Something that we didn't do years and years ago because we just didn't recognize what the problems really were. Once upon a time, we thought somebody using drugs, okay, he's just hurting himself. Well, yeah, he's hurting himself, but he's also hurting his family and everybody else around him. And each and every one of us too, because there's a cost for society for everything that happens with someone who's caught up in an addiction. But before I get into that too much further, yes, I've been judge of the Bexar County Felony Drug Court for 14 years now, and hopefully I get to hang around a few more. But it's really been an honor to do it, and I appreciate the fact that Judge Rangel and the rest of the judges have allowed me to do this for that long. It's been a learning experience. I feel like I know quite a bit, but there's never a time that I'm going to know everything. So we keep on researching, we keep on learning. But I would like to point out a couple of people I see on the screen, because I have been involved in drug courts longer than the 14 years that I've been judged, because I was involved as a defense attorney before. But I see Roberto Ruiz, who works with a couple of the courts in the county court system, and Roberto's been doing this longer than I have. In fact, I give him at least 2 years on me from the very beginning, because I think he started around 2000, 2001, sometime around that period of time, and I started getting involved in, say, 2002 or 2003. But we weren't the first people to come up with this idea, but we certainly jumped on it, and Bexar County has just taken off. I mean, I am so proud of everything that we have done. And yes, Yolanda Huff has been a great shot in the arm for all of us. It's her energy has helped coalesce this group together so that we can get a lot of things done. I would like to point out one other person that I see, Judge Michael Mary, who for many years was a civil district judge, but has switched over to criminal district now. And before that, he was a county court at law judge way back in the beginning years. I've known Judge Mary for a long time, since we were both defense attorneys in private practice. But Judge Mary, as some people know, was instrumental in the early days of the specialty courts with the mental health court. And I know he had always had the heart for it and always loved that work. So I think there's a lot of appreciation to go around for all the different people involved in this. And getting down to a little bit more about what we do, we are here to make a difference in people's lives. And there are many different ways of looking at it. One is the humanity aspect of it. We're doing things to help families. We're doing things to help the individual, himself, herself. But we're also doing something for our community. We're helping our community heal. We're helping people get back into the workforce to become productive citizens and to try to remain that way. And as a group of judges, we learn from each other. I've learned a lot from Judge Peter Sakai, who runs the family drug court and has been involved in that probably as long or longer than I've been involved in the felony drug court. But we're contemporaries. And I think it's a big honor that Judge Sakai is the president of the Texas Association of Specialty Courts, that he was elected by our statewide membership for that position. And I had the opportunity to step up and become the director from Bexar County. So I've been in that position for a year now. And I'm hoping that someone I see on the screen right now would take that up after I move along, because there is a term limit there. So Yolanda Huff, I might be talking to you about that later. I'm not sure, but it's an honor to be part of that, and we've gotten some things done. Just for those of you who don't know, drug courts operate on a shoestring budget. We for the most part. We don't have all kinds of funding out there for us. Thanks to Mike Lazito and his department, we've got different grants that help out. One of our major sources of funding, though, comes from the governor's office. They have a division that works with the specialty courts, and they have funds that come in every year that they give out to different specialty courts so that they can operate. One of the big things that I'm really thrilled about, and I think all of us across the state, is that this year the legislature listened to us, and they have designated a portion of the alcohol excise tax to go to the governor's office for these grants. So for the first time in, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, we probably are going to get an increase in that budget as opposed to a decrease, because we've been operating with a decrease at every year that comes along. So we're all pretty excited about that, because it means millions of dollars that are going to go into that fund specifically for specialty courts. And it's important that we support our specialty courts, because we are taking people from the regular part of the criminal justice system who might be staying in jail. They might be going to prison. They might go to prison over and over again. Typically they do, because I can tell you that in our felony drug court, our average person has had 9 to 10 prior offenses, and most of those are felony offenses for us. So it is a revolving door unless we step up to do something about it, which is what we're doing. And in our felony drug court, we take pretty much anybody, no matter what the offense is. Times have changed there too. It's not just limited to non-violent offenses anymore. We take anything except for one particular type of offense, which is sexual assault. And the reason we don't do that is because we can't mix that population in with the traumatized population that we already have. And I know there's a lot of trauma there too, but hopefully someday we'll have some sort of specialized program for that. We already have a specialized probation docket, but I think it'd be good to have a specialty court for that too. And I've researched, there aren't that many of them across the country, but there are a few, and they seem to be relatively successful. So that might be one of the things that we delve into in the future. But we do pretty much accept whatever offense it is, as long as the person is qualified as high risk and high needs, someone who really needs a lot of help, someone who is substance dependent, and doesn't matter if the offense is a drug offense or not. If you look at our caseloads, yeah, a lot of those offenses are drug offenses, possessions quite a bit, but we also have driving while intoxicated offenses, quite a few, burglaries, thefts, prostitutions, on down the line, aggravated robberies. Once in a while, we get one or two of those, family violence cases, and we work across the board. One of the things that we learned early on in drug courts is that we're going to be dealing with a variety of populations, but we're also going to be dealing with a variety of problems. We're going to deal with a lot of trauma. We're going to deal with a lot of mental illness. There are going to be different services that are required. It's not just about getting clean and sober. It's about changing the basis of your life so that you can stay that way, so that you don't need the drugs. If we can deal with the underlying issues, then the self-medication or other need for the drug will eventually go away, and hopefully it will stay away. So we work together and learn from each other as time goes by. As I mentioned earlier, some of the things I've learned from Judge Sakai is, even in our criminal justice system, we're still dealing with families, and we need to work with the Child Protective Services, because quite a number of the people that we get have CPS cases. So we work together with Child Protective Services amongst other groups so that we can work with our families and help them heal. And I don't know about all the rest of you, but I want to see someone who had a child raise that child if possible. I think that's should be the goal of society in general. So you should be responsible for the things that you do in your life. And let's face it, kids need their parents, and they love their parents. They want their parents. So we work together to try to make sure that happens too. We work together, making sure families get counseling so that they can work out the problems and issues that they have together, and also support their loved ones who are in these recovery programs. And I should probably shut up now and let someone else have a word. I don't know if Ashley Phillips is ready to bring something into this too, but she is a case manager with Felony Drug Court. She specifically works with the dual diagnosis section, so she's working not only with substance use disorder, but she's also working with the mental health disorders. And Ashley, you're welcome to take it away a little bit before we get to the next one, and I'll bow out at this time.
Well, Judge, you covered most of the important topics about what we do and why we do what we do. We talked a lot about resources, which is really important for folks to consider when thinking about our programming, especially court programming. A lot of our clients are coming from impoverished settings. Many of them are homeless. And so one of the things that we work to, as the judge mentioned, the using is a small portion of the problem. A lot of our clients suffer from a multitude of problems that the using is a symptom of, chronic homelessness, mental health issues that have been either misdiagnosed, not diagnosed, or not properly treated is one of our major challenges as well. Stabilization. The first phase of our program is solely focused on stabilizing clients in services, getting them the housing, the medication, the mental health support, and of course, the substance abuse support that they need. Once that happens, we're able to kind of help clients move along in the program and find different ways to engage in positive pro-social behaviors. I like to brag a little bit about our Alumni Association because that's like my little baby. One of the things that we really focused on the past few years is our recidivism rates and how do we help people transition. We give people a lot of structure at the very beginning of the program. And then at the end, it's like, good luck. And so we're looking at new ways to keep clients engaged. And part of that is our Alumni Association. We have a really strong group of individuals that work hard to make sure that their peers find the support and resources that they need. And then we start the step down process and making those connections. And I think that I'm very proud, and Edward Weston is on. He's one of the testimonials today. He's an active member of our Alumni Association. Even though he has terminated his probation, he still stays involved, especially in the mentoring of clients, new clients, and even current clients, to help them see that the program is worthwhile and that what we offer is not just for the 18 to 24 months that they're in the program, it's for life. I tell people once you're in drug court, you're part of a family and that family is for life. And we try to ensure that with our clients and make sure that they know that the resources and services that we provide, while in the program, of course, they're very intensive and they're required, but we still offer those services and support systems outside of the program as well. I don't know what else I should say, but that's my little piece on a little bit about what we do and what we're trying to do. We also have on here Vanessa Fears. Vanessa is a former client who then went on to get her education and was our intern this past spring. Vanessa, do you want to add anything?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I just like Ashley was saying, being part of Alumni, like I graduated from drug court in 2014, and they told me, like, if you ever need anything, reach out. And there's been a few occasions where I've needed some support, either for my anxiety or my depression, and the case managers were there to quickly help me out. And then when I decided to go into social work, so I can help those that suffer from mental health and substance use and being homeless, I asked them, hey, it's been years. I think it was just this past year, and I asked if they needed any interns, and they took me on board, and I learned a lot. I learned how the intake process worked, it was astonishing. I was amazed because I saw it from the other side. And then, I'm still involved with Alumni and hoping that we can grow it a little bit more into an official 501c3. But, they're right. Being able to just, call up whenever like I really needed somebody because I didn't have anybody or nobody understood me is really something I'm super grateful for, and I'm always appreciative of it. And just like they're there for me, like I'll always be there for the participants in drug court. So thank you.
That was that's always beautiful to hear from Vanessa. She's just gone above and over what you think people are going to do when they get out of her drug court program. She's just gone on through school, got her LCDC. She's just got all kinds of good things happening in her life. Judge Huff or Judge Rangel, I don't know how much time we have at this point. Is it time to turn it over to the next group?
You still got a couple of minutes left. It's up to you.
Okay, well, thank you very much. So Mr. Lozito earlier was talking about recidivism, which is something that's that people really do want to know about a lot. I mean, I get asked about these things whenever I'm at some sort of function and people find out what I do, and I let them know that you need to look at the big picture of things. Before we started doing drug courts, people would get locked up. They spent time in jail. They spent time in prison. They didn't get any drug treatment, and pretty much 100% of them went back out and used again and got rearrested within a year or two. So we weren't accomplishing anything with that. So you start adding in different ingredients, probation programs, treatment programs. Then you add in the attorneys, the prosecutors, defense attorneys, and then the judge to oversee the program for court reviews. And you end up with such a great recidivism rate is incredible. We typically do a 3-year study every time we have a graduation. Sometimes we go a little further out to see how things have been overall. And generally it's somewhere between 10 and 15% total recidivism, as opposed to 100% if you lock them up, which I look at that and say, yeah, this is definitely a win-win. I will add one caveat to this. I don't want to see our numbers for the last year because COVID has really made our job very, very difficult. We have struggled and figured out ways to do one thing or the other. Our clients have had so much more problems with their depression, so their substance use is up. I mean, everything has been a lot more difficult. And as you all know, we were locked down for a while where we actually couldn't see people, and that didn't work out for us. So, luckily for me, I have all these beautiful case managers that want to do everything they can to make things better. So they were willing to come back to the office and have people start coming in. Yeah, we had our shields up, we had our masks on, everybody sanitizing, washing their hands and everything as much as they can. But we were only locked down for a month or two before we actually started having people come back in live, because they don't make it as well if they're not seeing us in person, and especially if they're new. So I give a big shout out to everybody out there who's been working hard to keep things going and coming up with new ways of doing it. The fact that we're doing a Zoom today, I didn't know what Zoom, Zoom wasn't even around as far as I know over a year ago, but FaceTime and other things that we do, sure, I understand that. But this process has taught us a lot. It's given us another tool that we can use. Ms. Phillips early on told us about a way that we can keep in touch with our clients through our own cell phones by going through a Google Talk and get a number assigned that we can choose to use or not use, or to answer a call or not answer a call, but they don't actually get our real cell phone numbers, so that we're not getting a call at 3 o'clock in the morning, even after somebody's moved on and graduated from drug court. But it's tools like these and the inventiveness of the case managers and these programs that really makes a big difference. So even though it's been tough, we made it. I feel like we're coming back into the sunshine, and things are going to work out and get better from here on out. So yes, and Vanessa Fear's nickname is Sunshine, so she had to pop out and show us that too. Little Miss Sunshine there. But thank all of you for being here today. And with that, I'll pass this back to Judge Rangel.
Thank you, Judge Glenn. You have truly been a star as it relates to everything that we do on the drug court side and with specialty courts. And you continue to do that. You've been doing it for a long time. I know all of us appreciate the way you're talking about Judge Sakai. I think a lot of us are looking at you in that particular way.
Oh, for sure.
You're definitely following in his footsteps and creating your own path. So we appreciate you and everything that you're doing. Next on the agenda, very, very proud to see Judge Helen Stowe and all the work that she's been doing with the DWI court. I've seen her career for a while. So Judge Stowe, we'll let you take it away.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Judge Helen Petrie Stowe. I'm really excited to be talking about Track D, our DWI court this morning. And just, recognizing all of the wonderful people that I see here on the panel today. Thank you for all of your hard work on these specialty courts. Judge Ron Hell is a mentor to me. Wonderful to be a part of this with him today. And I love serving as a county court judge alongside Judge Huff. And, I'm really proud of all the work she has done to bring, this topic into the community so that they have more transparency and know what it is that we're doing. Like Mike Lazito mentioned earlier, I am one of the judges who's elected, and I do this alongside my regular docket. So I do have a full busy court that I run, but from early on, soon after I got elected, I was interested in bringing a specialty court back to County Court 1 since it had one previously. I had a fellow judge next door to me that had taken on 2 specialty courts, which is an amazing feat. I can tell you that. Judge Huff could tell you that too. It is.
Oh, yes.
It's plenty of work to run one. And so last summer, I teamed up with that Judge Stolhansky. He had been running both Track A and Track D. And he called me up and just said, if you're ready, let's do this. And so we worked on it together for about 2 months or so that I could, really take the wheel and know what I was doing. It was really my first experience with a specialty court, despite being a prosecutor for about 11 years. I had never, for whatever reason, my rotation through the DA's office had never put me into a court that had a specialty court. So I learned it firsthand while helping out Judge Stolhansky a little bit, and then, taking it over with him last summer. But that's just a little bit of my background. I was a prosecutor. Before that, I was an English teacher in the San Antonio Independent School District. And, then moved my career on to running for judge. So here I am today to tell you a little bit about Track D. We call it Track D now instead of the DWI court. That was a change that was made recently because we just wanted to, let people know that this is not necessarily something that they like to talk about saying they're in a DWI court, but it's easier sometimes to, feel proud of being in a court that's called Track D. And I'm going to tell you about what would bring someone to this court, and that is if they are on probation for a subsequent DWI offense. All right, or they're about to be. That means that they have more than one, right? They've already gotten one, maybe they've already gotten 2. Sometimes they're at a place where they're at 3 or 4 when they're coming into Track D. And so, I know that sometimes it's the court system that brings them to this place of wanting to seek treatment. I know that sometimes our participants are not really ready for treatment, but they come into our court and we get them ready, and we've had a lot of great results, and I'm really proud of what it is that we're doing. In order to come into the court, they have to have a diagnosis of an alcohol use or disorder that is moderate or severe, and they must live in Bexar County, and they also must be considered a high-risk offender. So they must be considered someone who is potentially going to continue this behavior in our community. And that pretty much puts them as eligible to come into my program. Christine Caceres, who I don't know if she's been introduced yet. She's our intake specialist and works with many of the specialty courts. And she then will screen them if they're willing to come in. It's all voluntary, it's not something that the court can compel whatsoever. They can certainly go on to regular probation or face whatever punishment would come from them, of going through the court or taking their case to trial or whatnot. But if they do decide to come on into our program, I want to tell you how it's much different than probation. All right. It's very different in that we use a team approach, which means that we have a very, strong place in everyone's day-to-day life, I guess, is a good way of putting it. So they are meeting with their probation officers often. They're in touch with them often daily. They have a case manager that they're often in touch with, daily, weekly. And it's a very one-on-one kind of experience to be in the DWI court. And so, a normal probation officer will have hundreds of people on their caseload. And I would say that our probation officers have, between 25 and 45 people on their caseload, depending on, how many people are in the program at a current time. I have 2 probation officers that work in Track D, and they are Janie Zamora, who I see who's on here with us today. I wanted to recognize her. She does wonderful work, very thorough, and really just has a heart for this program of helping people to reach sobriety and deal with their addictions. And we also have Israel Cisneros, and he does wonderful work as well. He is a veteran. He definitely likes to take on people in our program who are veterans, and really, I appreciate him and his insight with all of our participants. Moving forward, let's see. Of course, I need to recognize our court manager, Roberto Ruiz, who just, I don't think I could do this job without him. He really is such a wonderful resource. He has so much experience with specialty courts. Like Arne Glenn mentioned earlier, he has just been doing this for such a long time, and really, really helps me with my specialty court all the time. I have him helping me constantly, and I really appreciate it because he just definitely has a heart for this job and knows what he is doing. James Caldbeck is our case manager in Track D. And he also is just a wonderful resource. He has such a gentle demeanor with all of our participants, but he also really holds them accountable. If they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, he has no problem letting them know, it's time to face what it is that they need to be doing. And I appreciate him. And he's also a great resource to the program and to myself, and helps me a lot on the day-to-day basis. And of course, we also have treatment providers that our DWI court participants meet with, in the beginning, quite a lot, right? It's sort of a staged program. They go through phases, and they have more treatment up front. There's more hand-holding up front. There's a lot going on in those early days of treatment over the first several months. And then it's kind of like riding a bike. First you have those training wheels and you're running along, and eventually, we get to take some of them off, and things get to be less handheld, and it becomes, less of those training wheels, right? It's more of them doing it on their own, which is really wonderful to see. It really is, to see someone go from the beginning of treatment where they're struggling, where they're, not able to stop drinking for a little bit, maybe, where they're really having a hard time doing all the things that we're asking them to do. And then, of course, as they move along, that understanding, you can sometimes just see a shift, like the perspective shifts, and it's wonderful to be a part of, because ultimately, my personal goal with this program is just to improve the quality of life in our community, right? Because it is not only improving the quality of life of our participants, them first and foremost, but their families, their friends. Those are the ones, that deal with them, and the destruction that, what's happening with them is causing their lives. But also, like was mentioned earlier, it's not just those people, right? It touches us all. It touches, other victims who may have had their car crashed into. It touches, your neighbors, right? If you have a neighbor who's struggling with addiction of alcohol or drugs or domestic violence, all of those things really impact our community. You also have to think about your coworkers, right? Sometimes you have coworkers who are not pulling their weight, and sometimes those things are affecting you personally. And so, it just is, it's many layered. When we take someone into our program and help them to go from a place of things being out of control to getting their life back into control. It just, the rippling effect is really wonderful to be a part of. I'm really, really excited to be helping out in this program. I don't think I got to mention who those treatment providers are that work in our program. Mary Spry, Philomena Toomey, and Andres Mendez. Want to just shout out to them because they do wonderful work. They care so much about our participants. They really, really, really are just such an integral part of what we do because, ultimately, they have to have this treatment. They have to get to the root of what the issue is that is bringing about this behavior, right? And so, depending on where things are, again, at the beginning, lots of treatment, it kind of will taper down, but sometimes it gets kicked back up, right? Because, we're all human and we all face different things and struggles. And sometimes we have to, go back to more treatment, even when they're later in the process. And, it's just something we adjust along the way as we see necessary. So I guess that is a lot of information, but I hope that it gives you a little bit of insight as to what we do in our DWI court. A few other things that I wanted to point out that are different about DWI court. I know I already talked about the fact that, if you're on regular probation, there's a much larger caseload for your probation officer, right? So you don't meet with them as often. You do not, our participants meet often or are in touch with their probation officer weekly. Usually in regular probation, that's a monthly thing. We also help out with assistance for things such as housing and education, employment, bus passes, things that our participants need to help them to succeed, to take care of themselves day to day. And those are things the program does assist with, depending on what's needed by the participant. We also deal with violations much differently. All right. So if you violate your probation on my regular caseload, what happens is I get a report about it, and usually the state's bringing what we call a motion to revoke probation. And just based on, a sheet of paper, I make a decision to sign off on that. And then that results in an arrest and a court hearing, right? So the difference in our program, of course, is when there is a violation, it's something that we all talk about very quickly, usually within the first 48 hours. We staff it, we come to a decision about what's to be done, and it doesn't result in an arrest. It results in us dealing with it through our program. The next thing that's very different, of course, are the fees involved. They do have a static fee that they know about, that they pay for throughout our program. It is less expensive to go through DWI court program as far as finances are concerned than it is to go through regular probation, because they do have more fines and fees, that are paid alongside that. And let's see, I guess finally, of course, another difference is the judge that's just really a part of, the day-to-day as well, right? So I often will put someone on probation. I put them on probation, they go off to, dealing with their probation officer, and I never see them again, right? I don't really, unless they, have one of those motions to revoke, they may go through the program and be finished. And I'm not saying that's not a good thing. That's a great thing for many people in our community to go through probation that way, and hope that's definitely our hope, right, Judge Huff, that we don't see them again when we put them on probation. That means they're doing a good job. But it is a big difference because I am, interacting with our participants throughout the whole process. And, they get, insight from the judge, experience from our judges, and really, we get a chance to make an impact on them as well. So those are just some things I wanted to point out. I hope that if you have any questions, you can certainly feel free to put them into the chat, and I'll try to address them. But at this point, I would like to do as Judge Glenn did, and hand it over to my case manager to say a few things and see if anyone else on our team would like to speak, because I love that we are a team. I really appreciate our staffings, that we get to come together to make a decision. And if I didn't mention it before, and I should have, not only is this team a part of what we do, we also, of course, have a defense attorney, a public defender who is assigned to Track D, and we also have a prosecutor that is assigned to Track D as well. And so all of us as a team, come together in staffings to decide what comes next for every single individual in our DWI court. And that happens every other week. So twice a month is when we all get together, and then we have a docket that the participants come to, and we implement that, right? If people are doing great, they get incentives, which may be a reduction of their community service, or perhaps a voucher to help them with some of their urinalysis, or a bus pass, or whatever we might have that's available at the time. And if they're not doing great, then we deal with that with sanctions, and those are also varied in many, many ways. All right, so that is that in a nutshell. All right, James, your turn.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Thank you, Judge Stowe. I'd just like to say it's been amazing working with Judge Stowe. She has just an amazing passion and heart and openness to lead by example, and just really kind of set the tone for our participants as well. So I really enjoy Judge Stowe in this experience. Judge Stowe is really been a leader and just helping our people really just kind of get engaged and connected. And so I think, she's done really well explaining everything today. And I want to go back to, I think, Miss Jada earlier. And I think that's a big part of what we're trying to do, is look at these patterns. And with our DWI participants, a lot of them really need this program, because the length of the program and the education and the counseling that they get, it's so vital to have that self-reflection, to really get comfortable in the counseling process. So more information comes out, more evidence comes out, because, DWI population, not everybody is a daily drinker. And so for them to really grasp that there's something more than a legal problem often takes a lot of time to just kind of sift through some layers and find out the different ways that maybe alcohol is affecting their relationships, their wives, their children. And so that may take some time for them to really get comfortable being honest about those things. And so I think that's some of the great things that Judge Stowe brings to the table, a lot of honesty and openness with herself. And I think that just opens up a lot of the participants also with our counselors and everything too. So, I'm definitely a supporter of drug courts. I'm a product of the criminal justice system, treatment myself, with felony probation experience. And, so I know the impact of a long-term probation and treatment process. And so I love being able to share that with our people. So I'm really grateful to be doing, working with the team and working with DWI court. I think that's pretty much all I have left to say. Thank you.
All right, thank you for weighing in for a moment, James. I appreciate everything you do with our program, and how much you really work day to day with our participants, some more than others. And, some are more difficult to work with, some are easy to work with. Of course, it takes all of us in the village to do it. And you definitely step up all the time with your time, after hours, on the weekends. It seems like as people progress through this program, they always have wonderful, glowing things to say about how much you help them. So I appreciate you. Let's see. I would love to hear, actually, Judge Ronhell, where are we in time? Do we need to be passing the baton?
I think you are, let's see. Well, you're about that time, but obviously you can have a few minutes.
Well, I would love to hear from Roberto Ruiz as well, our court manager, because again, he has such wonderful experience with specialty courts, and I'd love for him to just have a few moments to say a few things to educate the public, because, this has definitely been a bit of a life's work for him. And so, people who don't know about this process, he is a wonderful resource. Roberto, would you like to speak?
Yes, yes, of course, and thank you for the opportunity. And thank you for your service, Judge Stowe. You are a very courageous judge and public servant who elected to take this route and take on this court. And you've done an amazing job, and thank you for being so engaged in our community. I do want to put emphasis on what Judge Stowe mentioned earlier, that this is a therapeutic court. It's a court that practices and puts into practice and applies the concept of therapeutic jurisprudence. It's the application of law in a therapeutic manner. And it targets individuals who, as Judge Stowe mentioned, who are at risk of reoffending and also who are at risk of not successfully completing regular probation. They need that additional support from our courts and from our system to be able to succeed, not only within the criminal justice system, but also in life in general, so that they don't come back into the system. And this is accomplished, as Judge Stowe explained, by meeting their ancillary needs. If there's a need for housing, if there's a need for employment, for education, for medical reasons, then there's a full-time case manager, Mr. Callbeck, whom we just heard from, whose full-time job is to address those needs. And this is very unlike our regular criminal justice system. I served as a probation officer several years ago, and I was a regular probation officer outside of the drug court or outside of the specialty courts. And I can tell you, and I can attest to the fact that it is a completely different approach and mindset. As a regular probation officer, the focus was primarily on accountability and punitive. It was very punitive. Judge Stowe mentioned revocation. You know, if somebody tested positive for drugs, it was reason enough to revoke them and to send them to prison or to jail. In the DWI court, it's a problem-solving court. We take on these problems and we address them. We address the core issues that lead to the violations, that lead to the criminal activity, so that the individual doesn't have to be involved again ever in the criminal justice system. And it takes a very special, I must say, it takes a very special kind of judge with certain characteristics. It takes a judge who has a heart, who has a passion for what they're doing. It takes a judge who can show empathy and be understanding. But at the same time, it takes a judge who will hold the individual accountable, not only for the benefit of the community in general, which is the primary, the safety is the primary concern of the court, of course, but also for the primary, for the health and benefits of the individual and their families, those social circles that individual is involved in. So once again, thank you so much for your service, Judge Stowe, and for those other judges here that are serving in these specialty courts, thank you so much as well. We need more of you in all of our communities.
Okay, well, thank you so much for speaking. I appreciate that. Those are kind words, Roberto. All right, Judge Rangel, I know that we've gone over time a little bit, so please go ahead and get us redirected, as you're wonderful to do.
Thank you, Judge Huff, and you really are doing a great job. I can't give you kudos enough for the leadership you're showing with the county courts of law. All right, next we have the Felony Veterans Treatment Court, and I know that that's been around a good while. There were 2 judges. Now Judge Jefferson Moore is handling that on his own, and I know someone is here on his behalf, so you can take it away.
You're muted, Judge.
Oh, it's Judge Uzomba.
Yes.
Excellent.
Good morning. My name is Grace Uzomba. I'm actually a misdemeanor judge. Misdemeanor court is County Court at Law Number 2. However, I'm a retired U.S. Army military officer, so I'm a veteran, and I helped initiate the Misdemeanor Veterans Court and bring it to Bexar County along with Judge Olivari, the late Judge Olivari, at the time that he was in charge of County Court 6 And so he initiated the existence of that court. The court, I have been involved with these specialty courts since about 2008 when I started practicing law. After I retired from the military, I went to law school at most of our alma maters, which is St. Mary's University School of Law. And so all of the people that you have seen and have spoken and will speak are a special part of the community that I am proud to be part of. And because these courts actually look at and deal with high risk, high need people who are involved or their use of or abuse of substances, whether it's alcohol, drugs, or some sort of mental illness, and causes them to come infraction of the law and get into our criminal justice system. So what is the felony drug court? That was started and initiated by Judge Jefferson Moore, who's on the agenda. I am privileged to have been asked by Judge Yolanda Huff to be able to present information about the Felony Veterans Treatment Court. Judge Huff has initiated this coalition of the treatment, all the specialty courts that we have, in order to be able to satisfy the 10th key component to bring this information to the community. Why is it important for the community to know? Because after we get done in the criminal justice system with people who have gone through these specialty courts, guess where they go? Back to the community. Guess where they came from? From the community, their families. And so in bringing this out to the communities, the various, for you to understand that these courts exist, you can be able to assist your family members who may be so afflicted and have gotten into the criminal justice system, to be able to engage and say to their defense attorneys, please refer me to one of these specialty courts. Sometimes it takes a little nudge for people to realize that they have a problem, and that's the biggest and first step. And then for them to take the next huge step to get involved and deal with that problem, that is when we start turning things around. Now, you have heard from the councilwoman, you have heard from the commissioner in this precinct, and you have heard from Mike Lozito. Mr. Lozito is such an advocate, a true advocate of these specialty courts that really fall under his jurisdiction. And he goes beyond advocacy with his support. So here we are, this community, and what does the Veterans Treatment Court do? Judge Jefferson Moore, and I will tell you a little bit about him. He's a great veteran. He is the judge of the 186th. That's where the Veterans Treatment Court is now. It was started with Judge Lori Valenzuela, who has moved on to the Court of Criminal Appeals. So if you're charged with a felony, a drug offense, say possession of cocaine, that is a felony charge, or lots of marijuana. This court will deal with that felony offense, and it may be related, and this is the important part that differentiates the Veterans Treatment Courts from the other specialty courts. It's post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, as most of you know, or traumatic brain injury, or any other mental health diagnosis resulting from their military service. The participant will have Participation in this Veterans Treatment Court will give the participant opportunities to avoid prosecution. That is pretrial diversion. So here you're going into this track of going through the legal system to be prosecuted, but you get the opportunity with this to step to the side and say, okay, if I perform this and go through this particular program, then I may not be prosecuted at all. Also, you can avoid criminal conviction by getting a deferred adjudication. This is, you've been placed on probation, you've gone through and you've performed all of this, gone through this program, and you will not have a conviction. The judge will not find you guilty. We'll also address psychological issues such as chemical dependency, as I had previously mentioned and everybody did, and other issues. How do we do that? Through treatment programs and supportive services. You've heard about the treatment providers, you've heard about the supportive services, and especially that most important case manager. You've heard from a couple of them today, Mr. Caldback and Ashley Phillips. These guys are the cog in the wheel that make the difference as far as the success of the programs, because they're the ones who help you to be able to nudge you to employment opportunities. They're constantly scouring the community for that for you, help you with your education. A lot of the judges say, hey, you don't have your GED, or a high school diploma, that this is the basic that you need to have in order to be able to get a job. So the courts will nudge you and encourage you to at least get your GED or continue any other education programs and give you access and assistance in getting to that, especially for veterans. Veterans get connected to their GI bills and be able to assist them to take advantage of those things. Also, health. This is the Veterans Administration, but sometimes when you are under such influences, you really don't know how to navigate into getting the services that you have so richly served your country to acquire, especially if you were discharged because of health reasons. Also, housing. Again, there may be sober houses that you can go to, sober living housing that you can go to, or other housing opportunities and benefits that veterans may be available, to veterans. So help to navigate for you to find those available resources and in the community. Now, as you see that there is a community with all the courts, there is a team. When you are first come into the criminal justice system and your case is disposed of, in other words, you go through learning, you're going to either go to a trial or you're going to plead out. You usually see the prosecutor once, and then you have your defense attorney that you've seen many times, but you usually just see that judge one time. With these treatment courts, we surround you, cover a you, and it's all about the person in front of us needing these services. And the key difference, as you have heard in the theme here, is the judge. You get to see that judge on some sort of a regular basis. And the best evidence has seen that makes a difference when this person of authority gets to speak to you in another voice that is going to give you the guidance to be successful. So this person of authority, you get to see them more than once. You get to see them on a regular basis, and they spend some time talking with you. So there's the judge. You've heard about the defense attorney. And then they do what they do. They make sure that you get your due process. Then you have the prosecutor. Imagine having the prosecutor and seeing the prosecutor from a different light, a part of a team that is going to make that participant successful. Instead of them bringing the hammer and the weight of all the state of Texas, they're here as a team to support you. Yes, you, the participant, and your family members. Also, you'll have the program manager with the Veterans Treatment Court and the Veteran Administration Veteran Justice Outreach Specialist. In other words, known as the VGO. You know, with the military, we wouldn't be able to survive without acronyms, with all the names that we have. So you have the VGO and case manager. And the VGO puts you in touch with all of those veteran administrations provided services. They're the ones who are going to set up and assist with your treatment plan. And they'll give you the referrals to the services so you can get that treatment plan implemented as soon as possible. You also, as a participant in the Veterans Treatment Court, you'll have court appearances. Yes, this is the time that you come and you visit with the judge and visit with everybody else on the team to support you. The part of this visitation is to be able to go ahead and monitor and reinforce all the progress in meeting the objectives of that you'll make in meeting the objectives of the treatment plan that has been tailored, customized for you and addresses the particular issues of that participant. It sounds great, but it's not for everybody, right? So there has to be some sort of an eligibility criteria. One of it is, of course, your great service as a U.S. Military person. Whether you have been a veteran or a concurrent member of the United States Armed Forces. Thank you all for your service. And this is how we thank you also in recognizing the services that you have given, whether you have been in the reserves, the National Guard, the State Guard, or Coast Guard. You deserve our thanks. You must have been discharged under honorable or under honorable conditions. And of course, unfortunately, clinically diagnosed as having post-traumatic stress disorder, traumatic brain injury, or mental health disorder. It is dramatic if you have been raped, especially by either fellow service people, sexually abused, or that blast of Claymore mine, gunshot, grenade, post-traumatic stress syndrome. I'm going to just share with you one little anecdote here. I remember as an ROTC cadet, we were making night maneuvers, tactical, walking up the side of the mountain. It was dark. And one of our veterans who was part of the ROTC program teaching us how to survive was a 3-time Vietnam, he was a Vietnam vet, having 3 tours as a Special Forces A-team. Me, I'm thinking, oh, this is just so great. Let me get a picture of all my comrades and all this. So I took a picture with a flash and flash, that Special Forces Command Sergeant Major jumped, rolled down the hill, and just natural. I mean, just a second nature. And then was around my throat, grabbing me by the collar and saying, "Why did you do that? Why did you do that?" And I explained, but that's post-traumatic stress syndrome. He remembers all of the times that meant a potential death when you see a flash like that. It could have been a bomb, it could have been anything. So these are very real issues. Now, of course, all this diagnosis must have resulted from military service and may have been materially affected the veterans' criminal conduct that they have been charged with. And all charges pending in Bexar County are eligible. What is the process that a participant must go through in order to get into the program? They must submit a package to the Veteran Treatment Court case manager. Usually this is done and assisted by the defense attorney that they have. Whether that defense attorney is appointed to them, court appointed, or they retained that defense attorney. So then the case manager and the Veteran Administration, the VGO, will screen that packet for eligibility. And then they'll go through a Veterans Administration assessment, and then it's going to be staffed by the Veterans Treatment Court team and as well as the district attorney's office. Once accepted, then the case, that case for that person, that participant, is going to be transferred from any court whatsoever that had the original jurisdiction. In other words, they may have been in the 437th Judge Rangel's court, the 379th or the 399th, or any one of those other felony courts. We have 10 of them, criminal courts. That case will be transferred over to the 186th. And then from there, the judge and the 186th is going to be responsible for. Now, the legal representation, as far as the defense attorney, then is going to continue with the Veteran Treatment Court defense attorney at no charge, no additional charge. Now, if you do have a retained attorney, one that you have hired, then that person can stay on the case as well. But usually you'll have representation from the Veteran Treatment Court defense attorney. How long is the program? It's usually 18 to 24 months, depending on, of course, the participant's needs, the progress in the treatment plan, the nature of the offense, and their arrest history. Let me tell you a little bit about Jefferson Moore. He is a former prosecutor and attorney in private practice. Judge Moore has over 25 years of experience in the legal field with over 150 criminal trials in federal, state, and military courts, as well as 65 trials as now the presiding judge of 186 District Court. He was the assistant district attorney in New Orleans before joining the U.S. Army JAG Corps. And there he prosecuted court-martials and later became a military magistrate. While he was stationed at Fort Sam Houston, right here in San Antonio, the State Bar of Texas awarded Judge Moore the honor of Military Attorney of the Year, and the American Bar Association recognized his office as the best military legal assistance office worldwide. After becoming a private practitioner, the state bar did appoint him to the grievance committee in Region 10 for several terms before he took the bench at 186. He is a graduate from Tulane University, as well as getting his JD from Loyola University of New Orleans. Judge Moore is a U.S. Army paratrooper who are otherwise known as airborne, as well as a U.S. Army assault graduate of U.S. Army Assault School. With deployments to Egypt, Korea, Panama, Bolivia, Israel, Germany, Japan, Romania, and Bulgaria, he has touched majority of all 7 continents. Judge Moore is an advocate of these courts and an avid author, prolific author. The pivotal point of these courts, the judges are very important. They play a very important role, but all of the staff in here also contribute greatly, as you have heard. In the Veterans Treatment Court, if you want to find out more information, that's going to be from John Herman. He is the Veteran Treatment Court court case manager, and he is available at the on the 3rd floor of the courthouse. That is 300 De La Rosa, and located in San Antonio in the Cadena Reeves Justice Center, right on the 3rd floor out of the 186 court. Please, if you have any questions, please let me know. Or contact John. He'll probably be better at going ahead and answering that question. Judge Huff, again, thank you for the privilege of being able to present this most important court to all of you. And thank you all of you, for your dedicated service to humanity.
Thank you, Judge Uzoma. Thank you so much.
Judge Rangel.
Thank you yes, I'm not on mute. Thank you very much, Judge Uzoma. I appreciate everything that you do and for stepping up the way that you did. You provided great information, things that I didn't know. And the anecdote is something that is very powerful. All right, at this time, we'll go to the testimonial portion of the agenda. I know that we have 3 individuals that I'm looking forward to hearing from. I'm sure everybody is. We'll start off with Matt, who's a graduate of the Track D.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you for inviting me to share my story. A lot of what has been said definitely applies to me as far as the treatment goes, but let me start first. Before I even heard or was involved with the justice system, I had a drinking problem for, majority of my life, which I wouldn't acknowledge. I never acknowledged it. And it got to the point where, some people would say things to me about it, especially my wife, and I would just dismiss it and, say, well, I'm doing fine in my job and, all the bills are paid and, I'm coaching the kids and doing all this. And well, yeah, I was a functioning alcoholic is what I was. But to actually get me to admit that, it took a DWI. Well, it took a lot of things, but what eventually got me into the program were 2 almost consecutive DWIs. Within 6 weeks, I got 2 DWIs. So for the longest time, I just must have had God been watching over me as far as keeping me out of the justice system. But once I did get here, I had, two choices. I could have gone the regular route and taken whatever punishment was going to be given me. My lawyer at the time said I probably won't go to jail. But then, I had to go into the pretrial system. And so I was kind of forced into sobriety because I had a breathalyzer. So I was kind of unhappy with that. So just had to deal with it on my own. And then the trial, when the trial, after it was postponed a couple times or delayed for one reason or another, my lawyer was informed about this court. And luckily, when I was interviewed, at first, I don't think they wanted to accept me because I had been in the pretrial system and sober for about 6 months, not happily sober, but I was accepted eventually, which was a blessing. Because once I got into the program, as many, as Judge Stowe and Judge Glenn have stated, just all the resources that are available to you that help you realize what impact I had on everybody else, whether or not I knew it or not, they knew it. But, to me, I had no idea that I was affecting my coworkers. I had no idea how I affected my children and my wife and all that. I was going to AA meetings at the time, but I hadn't gotten to those steps yet, where you have to, confront and address these issues with other people about what you have done. So in that program, it's difficult. It's pretty imposing when you look at all the requirements of you. Now, unfortunately, I was not working anymore. I lost my job. I was a teacher. But I had a part-time job. I was able to deal with that as far as getting the time. So in someone, just a perspective of someone, I guess, who has a full-time job, it's a pretty daunting task. I mean, there's a lot of things that you have to do besides the UA call daily. There's counselor meetings, there's probation officer meetings, group meetings, the court every 2 weeks. And as has been stated, it kind of tapers down as you go along. And it may have seemed like I breezed through the program, but I really didn't. It was hard because you had to come to terms with a lot of the things, with yourself internally that, affect you. And I mentioned this in last graduation that the group session really helped the most, because a lot of the other people would call you out, and not me myself, but I've seen where people just try and fake it, and just say, oh yeah, I really am hurting because, or whatever. But you can tell when someone is not being honest, and they would call you out on it. And there were people from, my education and higher, and to know it, high school degree or GED. That's about, so there was varying levels of our community in these programs. So it's not just, a middle class person that's affected. So with that, going through all those phases, each phase, things are reduced a little bit less. I had already lost my license. So finally, one of the phases, I got my license back. That was great. I could now get off my bike. Well, now I'm not I was in better shape back then, but because of that. But anyway, the challenges really, help the MRT program and meeting with your counselor and just getting to know yourself a little better and the impact that alcohol had on my life and other people's lives. So anyway, I know my time is limited, but so now where I am now, I just 2 weeks ago had my 2-year sobriety anniversary. Thank you. And I have brought my, it's funny because I have a sponsee, I've had a couple sponsees, but what I'm trying to do is bring some of the guys from this court or, in our court to my meetings. And so my colleagues in those meetings are, what is this? Are you like a supplier for our people to be sponsors? And I'm like, well, if that helps you, yes. Which, I'm glad I can, because some of the guys ask me, why can't you be my sponsor? Well, because I'm still in the program and I'm on probation. My probation ends the 16th of June. Will I continue my sobriety? Yes, happily. Right now, I'm just happy to be that I was asked to be a mentor, and God willing, I take it day by day, of course. I'm not going to sit here right now and say I'll never drink again, but that is my goal. But through the grace of God, go I. And, it's just, I'm glad I'm still part of the program, and I still try and impress that upon the other members who attend our meeting that we have weekly, that after the program, it doesn't end. Whether you can, that was my timer, so I know to be quiet. So I always get cut off in the AA meetings too. But anyway, it's a great program, and without it, I don't know where I would be. Maybe in jail. I don't know. But again, thank you everybody for all your help and support throughout this. Thank you.
Great job, man. Mute.
I kept trying to unmute you, Matt. It's like you
okay.
matted yourself, and I kept trying to unmute you. So anyway, thank you for your sharing your courageous story. I know it's not always easy to. What was that?
When I first got on, I heard your voice, and I had never met you, sir. But I thought, oh, is this on the radio? Is that Joe Pags? You have a radio voice.
Very deep voice.
I know it's courageous to, to expose yourself in these kind of forums, and the fact that the testimonials take place is really meaningful, and it makes a big difference. And I think it is important for the community to see, hopefully, what is the end result, and something that can last a lifetime. So thank you for sharing that with us, Matt. All right, next we'll go to Javier, who's also a graduate of the Track D program. Javier.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity. First and foremost, let me start off by saying I am a little nervous. So public speaking has never been my strong point. That's why I had turned to alcohol, because my job that I did required me to be around a lot of people, and a lot of my thoughts wouldn't let me be able to do it. I went into the program in 2016 because I had 2 DWIs. I wanted to be in treatment rather than going to do time. I didn't want to do time. I was given an opportunity as part of the plea agreement to get in this program. The option was to do 18 months. I was willing to do it. I was accepting to do it, but the willing was there, but I still wanted to do my own thing. Because the reason why I say that is about a week before I went to meet the judge for the first time, I went on a binge, on a drinking binge. Luckily, well, not luckily, but with a lot of work and a lot of people supporting me, I just, like Matt, I just had a birthday too, a sobriety birthday of 5 years. I'm not the person that I am today, because now I'm willing. I'm not the person that I was before that I am today. Is because now I'm willing to do what it takes. I had a lot of people supporting. In my mind, I thought that the court system was out to get me. I thought that it was me against them, but in reality, that was not the case. I had a lot of people that wanted to help, that they put me around other people that were in the same situation that I was in, that I had experienced. And that helped me let go of a lot of my stresses, that helped me let go of that fear, that boogeyman. I became honest with myself. And once I became honest, I was able to move forward with the program. Like Matt described, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. I had been drinking for 20 years, and I was so used to the drinking and the thoughts that came with it. They stayed with me in my when I was sober, when I wasn't drinking. I have kids. I have a wife. I have parents. I have siblings. I'm a better person now. I'm able to deal with them. I'm invited to their house. My kids seek me. I'm a role model to them. The things that I have learned from the treatment program, I've been able to apply to my kids. Something that made me sad when I first started the program was my kids look up to me. I have a son time. He said, "Oh, Dad, I want a car like you, and I want to blow into the thing that you're doing." Oh, it broke my heart. When I knew I needed to make sure that I kept my game, meaning I had a breathalyzer in the vehicle, and my son said, "I want. That's a cool gadget." And no, that's not what I wanted to show them. That's not something that I wanted to expose them to. The reason why I've been able to have 5 years is because I have, they gave me, the program gave me a lot of tools and resources. They introduced me to AA. I was able to find a sponsor. I was able to meet people and work with Lifetime Recovery. Now with that, I have principles that I deal with on a daily basis, rather than trying to manipulate a situation, rather than take advantage of someone. I'm fair with people. I am forthcoming. I'm willing to do things for people. And if things don't go my way, it's okay, because I have the tools to be able to guide me and accept things of what I'm doing. Right now, I am a sponsor. I have a sponsee. I have what is it called? I'm a mentor with this program. I'm able to give back with whatever time lets me move forward. It's helped out with my self-esteem. I don't need to have a chemical in my system so that I can be comfortable in my own skin. I'm able to talk and have new friends like Matt. Matt, thank you for inviting me to places that you go to. I'm very grateful for Roberto, for James, for being able to guide me. It may not seem like it may not seem like it was a lot, a couple words that were said in passing by, but those were words that were from experience, that they weren't just saying from a book, but it was things that worked for others, worked for them, and have worked for me as well. I'm very thankful to be part of this. I'm very grateful to be able to go back into the community and be of service to others. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Javier. And you can see from all the comments in the chat, what you said is very inspirational. And I'm very thankful that you have joined us today, and I was able to hear your story. And you did a great job public speaking.
You did.
All right, you did. You did. All right. So the next testimonial we have is Edward, who is a graduate of the drug court on the district court side. Edward.
Hello. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today. My name is Edward. I'm a part of drug court. I'm almost 5 years sober. I came into drug court back in 2016. probation officer told me the first meeting that, Edward, you'll be a great mentor one day. And I was walking behind him. I was like, yeah, right, sure. Then a year later, in 2017, I became the chairman of mentorship at the drug court and still am. I came off probation January 18th of this year. And I'm still with drug court, mentoring, helping out with the alumni. And I look forward to coming to court every Thursday and Friday. That's my new rush. That's my high now. Just if I can touch one person that's a possible coming to the program, that makes my day. And that's my rush. So now I'm here to stay. And drug court is one big family. They really are. And they're true. And I love them all. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Edward. Appreciate you coming here as well. That's a long time to be involved in, and you said 5 years. That's significant. And I think, you know, Javier, you also said 5 years, and Matt, all the time that you've been involved. It's impressive. The fact that y'all are still here says a lot about you and how important you think that these programs are. All of us appreciate you, and you can see from the comments. I'm very, very happy to have you all here. But this time, I'm going to turn it over to Judge Huff. I know that there's a panel question and answer session that is coming up, so you can take it away.
You're muted.
You're on mute, Judge.
All right. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in this morning. You guys have heard the great testimonials. They always get to me. I'm just a big crybaby over here, but it just does my heart so good. You guys know my passion for this, because I just think these special courts are just the jewel of the courthouse. I know for a fact the good work that they do. Way back years ago, I was a defense attorney for Judge Ernie Glantz, felony drug court. I was way over there when they were at the detox center, you guys, so many years ago. And I try to model myself, my court after Judge Glenn and Judge Takai's. I practiced before Judge Takai's special court for many years. And when I took the bench, I knew right away that, you know, that I wanted to make take the mental health court to the next level. And that's what I've tried to do. And so thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you all for the great testimonials that we've heard today. Are there any questions now? Now's the time. We have about 15 minutes. We're doing really good on time today. So if there's anyone on the Zoom that have questions, are there any questions in the chat that any of the panel, the judge that spoke, can answer? Michelle? Let's see.
No questions as of yet, Judge.
Okay.
May I?
Yes.
If I could, I would just like to be able to recognize not only are the people that contribute and support these courts, but there are other organizations that aid in making sure that participants are successful. One of those is just basically the monitoring systems. You'll hear of some of the participants will say, thank you, the UA line, for keeping them and helping them stay accountable. Also monitoring systems. And we have in the audience, just wanted to give a shout out to Dottie McDonald. She is representative for the Smart Start, believe is the Smart Start monitoring systems, alcohol breathalyzers. And so those things do help the participants to be able to stay accountable and stay on track. They really do. They're really grateful for them, and it helps us to be able to identify any treatment opportunities that are needed. So Dottie, thank you for being here.
Dottie with Smart Start. Dottie, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you so much. I really appreciate everyone. I can't tell you how inspired I am by all the work that you do and our partnerships in trying to get people back on a sober road. And it's just listening to the testimonials always just gets me, because it's amazing, because there by the grace of God go I, you know, I mean, could have happened to any of us. And so I'm just so grateful that these programs are in place, and And certainly from my standpoint, I've had a commitment because I've had experience with and have known friends and people that have been affected in drunk driving crashes. Two of my friends were killed when I was in high school. So I can tell you it's so meaningful, and we've come so far in the technology that can help people and the monitoring. So thank you for allowing me to participate.
Thank you, Dottie, for being here today. We really appreciate you guys. We really do. I mean, I think that one of my main missions when I took the bench of trying to alert, inform, educate the community about the specialty courts, because like everyone said today, this truly is a wraparound approach. It is so many partners that help with the specialty courts. There's so many team members involved with the specialty courts. I really want the community to know what is going on. I want transparency. I want them to understand what these specialty courts do. You know, it seemed to me that so many people just did not understand what these specialty courts. There was so many people in the community that had never even heard of the specialty court. And I mean, true stakeholders in the community that it said, I didn't know that. I mean, I just didn't know. Like, I mean, I was just really shocked. And I just this big push just to educate the community, everybody. All of these programs are taxpayer support entities. So the public definitely deserves to know, and they're entitled to know about the programs. Like Judge Uzumba said, humanity. I love that. I love what you said. Helping humanity. That's what we're doing. That's what the judges are doing. When you hear people, on social media say, oh, the courts don't do anything but send people to jail. They don't help us. What do the judges do? Tell them about these programs. We're all of us here are trying to educate the community on what these programs do. And I'll post about them over and over to anybody like, hey, zoom in, learn, especially people in key roles in the community, like zoom in so you can learn to tell about your constituents. That's what I'm seeking to do here. And thank you guys all for the ones that share, the guys that are sharing it. Christine, I see you share constantly about this series. So this is a 5-series program that we're doing here. Our next one is coming up on what day, Michelle?
July 7th.
And then I think we have one in August, and I think the last one is going to be in September, which is going to be all the judges. And we're trying to have that one in person. We may not be able to, but we're trying to. So each seminar, we're hosting we're highlighting 3 of the specialty courts and the judges and their staff. So please tell other people, please share the information. Again, truly just trying to educate the public on what the specialty courts do. Thank you guys again. And I really appreciate the commissioners and the council people that come on, because their help and their partnership with us is so vital to the success of the program. And Mike Lazito, thank you for all you do, your complete support for the specialty courts. We really appreciate it. Any questions? Y'all want to keep hearing me talk?
There's a couple.
Okay.
There's a couple of questions in the chat room.
Okay. What are they, Michelle?
Let's see. So the first.
Is there any way the youth?
May I address the one concerning
what was that, Judge Zumba?
I'd like to address the one that's concerning getting involved, the youth getting involved with events or internship.
Okay, go ahead.
This is what I say to the youth. I heard this. This is not an original thought from me, but I just love it. We here in the present are actually borrowing from the youth because the future is yours. And so for you to be involved in these events or internships, please welcome. You are very much welcome. I don't think there is a judge in this community here or any of the judges in the courthouse that would not welcome an intern. So please make it known to your teachers, your mentors, your parents, anyone, and then just stop by. You can stop by County Court at Law number 2. I have internships all the time, and you will get involved. I tell you, you'll be invited to all the events, and you will be given a responsibility to go ahead and take care of something. I have an intern right now, and she's helping me with, again, Judge Huff I call her the energy what's that? The Energizer Bunny. She has been recognized on several occasions by the, I believe that she has been selected for the Texas Commission on Mental Health, and also the commissioners have tapped her to be part of the task force on mental health. And she is chairing a committee on the justice system, called the Justice System. And I'm part of that subcommittee, and I've involved my intern in being able to go ahead and assist with that subcommittee. And she pulled some information together and did some research. So they're hands-on, and then you get to observe all that is going on in the courts firsthand. So the question, the answer to the question as far as for the youth to be involved in any of these events or internships, the short answer is a big resounding yes. There is an opportunity. Seek it out and you will be welcomed.
The next question, I think somebody from the Felony Drug Court can answer, because I think their alumni association has been around the longest, talking about continuity of care after you've done with the program. Anyone from the Felony Drug Court to talk about the continuity of care after you've done?
I believe Ashley and Judge Lund had to step out.
Okay.
But it was actually my question, because I know that with Felony Drug Court, there's an alumni program in place. But I mean, it helps for the most part, but some people end up like not, I don't know, they lose their jobs or they lose their benefits or their insurance, and they just kind of fall off and sometimes end up coming back to the program. It's pretty rare, but it does happen. But I'm just curious as far as like the mental health court and the veterans court and the tractee, like if they have anything similar to that, and I don't know, I guess like in the future, how could that be created, or I mean, even modified to make better, more continuity of care.
I understand what you're saying, Vanessa. So when I took the bench for the mental health court, we were working before COVID hit, set up the Alumni Association, and we had a mentor program going, because people that are graduates for a program, you want them, all that they've learned, you definitely want them to pay it forward. And so we keep them involved by selecting them or asking them to be mentors. And so our date that we pled in people to the mental health court is Thursday mornings. And so we would always ask 2 or 3 people that were in the latter part of the program, the 5th phase, or the graduate, to come back and mentor the people, because who can talk about the program better than someone that has completed the program, right? So definitely, if anyone that has graduated and they find themselves, in trouble or having hiccups on their path, they're always welcome to come back. In the mental health court, we'll take you. If you get in trouble ever again, which we hope you don't, you're welcome back into the program. And we often encourage people, don't leave us, come back. And we have many people. I know in our last seminar, we had someone that had Zoomed in at a graduate program a couple of years back. We encourage them, please stay in contact with us. We don't want to lose all that good knowledge that they have. We're constantly saying, pay it forward. You've done well. Please pay it forward. And Helen, how about your court? You guys have alumni association?
I just wanted to echo exactly what you said, Yolanda. We do like to encourage people to become mentors in our program. We're so fortunate to have some wonderful mentors who've gone through the program. They are such a wonderful resource for the people who are in the program currently. They have such insight. They've been through it. They've seen it all. They've lived it. And so that is one part that we do encourage, is to be a mentor after the fact. And really, you have brought about something that definitely hits home as far as DWI court, Vanessa, and that is that, while they are in our program, we are really buffering them with the situation that they're in, right? So the real work starts when they graduate, because then they have to do it all by themselves, right? And so some people really take to that really well, like Javier and Matt, and they're doing wonderfully, and that's great. And of course, sometimes it's not always, as easy. And so for those people, for sure, encouraging them as best we can to become mentors or to stay in touch with those groups that the mentors lead, because our mentors actually have group meetings that they provide to our track D participants, and everyone's welcome, right? Past participants, current participants. And so that's something that is a part of it. I do believe James and Roberto may be able to speak to this as well. James, do you have something to say?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Judge. Yeah, this is something I was looking at for some of the people in the program is some people might need the mental health actual counseling, some actual therapy while they're in the program that maybe don't have access to a professional counselor while they're in substance abuse treatment. A couple of resources I did find besides some of the schools that have either licensed counselors, LPCs on staff would be Methodist Ministries, Central Med, and I think the Jewish Family Center has also some licensed people that will, and these are places that they can do sliding scale or down to Methodist Ministries on their website even says that if someone doesn't have the money to pay, like they really won't be asked to pay if they're willing to show up. One of the other ones that I've heard about recently is Any Woman Can. They have some LPC associates, some interns there that are licensed there so they can get some free counseling, community counseling, family counseling. And so those are some things that I'm kind of starting to refer to people as they discharge is to give them the resources or while they're in the program is if they're willing, ready and able to do that, they can. The other one, Center for Healthcare Services, while they're in the program right now, Packard, which is not Packard anymore, but they changed their name, not sure what the name is, but they've actually stepped up and they're providing opportunities for some mental health counseling with, some LPCs. And so Center for Healthcare Services, that's a resource for anybody if they qualify. The other one might be CareLink. And then of course, insurance based, but so there actually are some resources out there if people are kind of willing to seek that resource.
And I wanted to let Mike speak as well. Mike Lazito, of course, has so much experience in this area with his work at the county. So take it away, Mike.
Hey, Judge. I just wanted to also mention two things. One is the NAMI, which is the National Alliance for the Mentally Ill San Antonio, is a great resource for families and the individual for support services. So, I really think when you're talking about continuity and keeping individuals together, another program is Bridges to Care, which is a new one that we're working with about 40 not parishes, but churches throughout the county are working with, like training individuals within the churches about mental health first aid. So they're getting about 3 different types of trainings and working with individuals. So that's one. And then the other is for specialty courts is the Therapeutic Justice Foundation. I think for involvement too, that's one organization that raises money, helps out the courts with certain functions that they have on there. So there have been through the years some things that have come up and that are available out there. But I serve on the NAMI board, and I really think that that's really something, working with family members that have suffer from mental illness. It's really important, from the family to family for you to understand what you're doing as a family member, because what we found out is you can push the wrong buttons. The things that we were doing were all wrong, and we weren't helping our circumstances. So I think it's important for individuals to understand that and have a better grip on it. So they take you through a 12-week course on what's the right approach with certain diagnosis, and how do you work with your family member to be a support mechanism, not a detriment for that individual. So please, those are good things that are out there. Thank you.
All right. Well, you guys, it's 11:01, so we did really great on time this morning. So again, I want to thank everyone for zooming in. I want to thank Judge Ron Hell for moderating for us, the speakers, the testimonials. I think that we learned great information this morning. I like to tell my team that we all know this is a wraparound approach to these special courts. And these courts are hard, what everyone has been said, Matt and Javier. Yes, these courts are very hard. They were designed that way. And I told my team, they hear me say this all the time, just because it's hard doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. Anything worthwhile having in life is hard to obtain, correct? So yes, the programs are hard. But the people that are on here that are speaking, they've got through, they're successful. They've been successful. So thank you, testimonials. Thank you so much. So our next seminar is July. I forgot the date again. July, Michelle.
I put the flyer in the.
Okay, so the
Judge, for
next
those
seminar is coming up in July. So please share and tell everyone about the
July
seminar.
10th.
July 10th, everyone.
July
So
10th.
thank you guys. Thank you everyone for zooming in this morning. Okay. Have a great rest of your weekend. Bye-bye. Thank you.